Welcome everyone to Code 6, your favorite movie podcast this century. I'm here with my fellow Code Sixers, Bailey, who just got a job on the New York Strip as a prostitute. Welcome and congratulations. And then Isaiah.
Sex work. What can I say?
And also Isaiah. That's nice. Okay, well, today we're going to review the movie
Morning Glory.
No.
I almost forgot the movie.
You chose the movie.
I know.
Forget the movie.
Starring Rachel McAdams,
Yes.
Harrison Ford, and
Yes.
Diane Keaton, though she's barely used in the movie, and it's kind of bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And that one guy's voice always sounds the same, no matter what.
The main guy, the romance interest?
No. The manager dude.
Oh.
What's his name? He's in a bunch of different things. I can't remember his name.
Oh my god. He's talking about Jeff Goldblum. And he's talking in a shitty tone about Jeff Goldblum.
I don't know.
I love Jeff Goldblum.
Apparently
I'm just
not.
saying, his voice always sounds the same.
I'm hearing
Does his
disrespect
voice not always
coming from
sound
you,
the same?
and I will not have that in this house.
That's Bailey's husband.
I'm sorry.
Oh, my real husband.
Yes. Little to her actual husband's knowledge. That's fine. That's fine.
No, he wants in on it too.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Okay. Yo, that's right.
Right, Sean?
Yeah. Fuck you talking about?
Jeffy Goldblum.
Oh yeah, them Jeffy Goldblums I fucking.
He would too.
Very good.
But yeah, he's in this movie, which makes it great. So, Isaiah, what did you think of the movie?
I liked it. I thought it was good. Like I said, I'd seen it before, but I like it because it's not your typical chick flick, typical rom-com, because the love interest isn't the main point of the movie, which is cool. So I thought that was good.
Love takes all forms.
Yeah.
Professional love is the best love.
See,
Oh, what line is
but
that
that's
from? Oh, don't answer that.
My lie?
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
It's just,
What'd you think of Rachel McAdams' character? What was her name?
Becky.
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 The Becks. Beckers.
The Becks.
What'd you think of Becky?
She
10 out of 10.
stressed me out, probably, just because it's hard to watch people that high-strung.
You mean like Leslie Knope from Parks and Rec?
Yes. Yeah, I would agree.
She's literally, like, if Leslie Knope was an actual person, it would be her
Yeah,
character.
totally.
Because Leslie Knope is a bit over the top because she's on Parks and Rec, you know. But, like, she's very Leslie Knope season 3, which is amazing.
I just want to yell at the TV and tell them to relax, and that's hard for me because I'm like,
Yeah.
just stop.
But she's so cute, though. Like, I think it's really charming. And it's Rachel McAdams, so it's hard not to be delighted when she's on
awesome.
screen.
But you still had anxiety watching the movie.
A little bit.
What gave you the most anxiety? What scene?
Probably one of the ones that's coming to mind is when she was at the bar with the guy for the first time, and then she started freaking out. And then
But she wasn't really freaking out. She, like, the weirdest thing she did was
it was
the
terribly
horrible
awkward.
pantomime.
It was like grabbing her stuff quickly, being all weird, high voice.
I
I'd
think
say that's
he
the
was.
worst one.
I think he was
They're
weird.
probably worse. That's just the one that came to mind.
He's the one.
I think he was weirder.
He made it
was
worse.
like so like,
Oh yeah.
and he was ugly. Mm-mm.
Ugly.
No.
He was ugly.
4 out of 10 with murder.
Yeah, I'll give it 5.
5 out of 10 with murder.
No, not a 5. No. He's like a 0.0 out of 10.
And Jeff is a 10?
11.
Probably. Yeah.
Fair.
He's a hard 11.
Just so our viewers know the scale.
Who else is hard? 11 in this room.
I'm hard.
Harrison Ford was pretty hard 11.
Yes. I mean,
And Diane Keaton. I'd say she was really hot in the
she was
movie.
harder for it.
I'd agree.
What did you think of the movie, Micah?
So the reason I chose this movie was because I actually quite identify with it at this point in my life.
Yeah.
I was, Rachel McAdams really just sold it to me because I think it's addressing all people in their 20s that are struggling with achieving professionalism in a very hard-ass environment. That wasn't eluding my last year's situation with my counseling program. And it was like there's a lot of similarities in like people telling you can't do it, you can't do it, you won't do it.
She gets told like, and not necessarily like this didn't go well. It was this failed and it failed because of you.
Yeah.
That was so
Yeah, that was-
harsh.
Yeah, and you know what, I would hate to say like, oh, that was exaggerated, but I don't think it is. I think there are very many places out there.
in kind of that, in the world of like news like that, it is like that.
I was going to ask you how you thought about the movie because you come from a similar background.
I forgot how much I enjoyed it because I watched it when it first came out, not in theaters. It's really interesting because I'm not like from a broadcast background, but it's all the same. The thing that hooks me most is the whole news versus entertainment thing, which they didn't really. I remember when I first watched it, I was really hoping they'd like go more into that,
into depth, but
they didn't. And then it's just kind of basically like, gotta have your brand donut, which, you know, many people could say is why our democracy is getting worse. Like with BuzzFeed, that's entertaining news, you know? Like, there's a lot of discussions you can have based on this, but it's just, it kind of, I don't know. There's a lot of, like, really cool, like, little interesting things about it, though. Like, and I definitely identify with it. Like, it's hard being in that industry. And, like, you have, like, with how much she works, you have to work that hard and that constantly and be that on it, which is partially why I married Sean. That's how him and I met, like, in that world. I don't think I could seriously be with someone who at least didn't understand why I have to stay up till 6 a.m. just to write something, you know, and then he brings me coffee. My ex did not like how much I worked when we were together when I started on a newspaper. And, you know, it's just, you have to, like, be in that world because you can miss, like, if you don't look at your phone or look at your computer or Twitter or anything, if you look away for a second, you can miss something big.
Yeah, no, it's a crazy competitive industry, and I thought that was, like, they sent that home right at the beginning when she got fired, when she's, like, the most hardworking, everyone thought she was getting a promotion kind of thing. It was like, well, listen, it wasn't like we fired you because you weren't doing well, it's just we literally couldn't keep you because we had to hire that next person.
Because he was from Colombia, which is...
he had the pedigree.
Basically, which, you know, that was kind of like a movie thing. Not really, people don't necessarily, like, in the actual world, don't necessarily care where you went to school. Because, like, they just look at, like, how you work and the work you've done, not necessarily where you come from. Obviously, if you're from Colombia, because that's, like, the biggest journalism program, and it's Colombia... that's huge. But, like, if I ever went back to school, because I just graduated, if I ever went back to school to further my degree, I would definitely want to go to Columbia. That's, like, big leagues for journalism. But it's, like, she's proven her shit. That was, in that context for this movie, that was movie stuff. They would not just pass her over like that.
Yeah, that's a gigantical mistake in your life.
So what you're saying is it was something mainly to set the plot.
Yeah, you know, and that's what movies do. Yeah, because it's like, with my pedigree, like, I would never get a job. I started out at community college, you know, and then went to Western.
Community college.
Although Western's journalism program is pretty good, but it's still, like, nothing compared to Wazoo's program. But yeah.
Going back to the beginning of the movie, like right after this scene, one thing I thought was interesting was when she was having that conversation with her mom.
Oh, cunt. Zilla.
Yes, no. First
her
off,
mom
that is
the
like,
worst.
Whose mom is that heartless? Like, okay, yeah, you can say that to your kid, or like eventually if something's happening, but there's like more tact you can go about with it. Even if you're a jerk as a mom, like you can still say it. The way she said it was like ripping apart her entire being. I was like,
yeah. I think they were just doing that for dramatic.
I know. I thought so too. But then it's like, then to not bring the mom back in at all the rest of the movie.
Until the very end.
At the very end we see her.
Okay, I must have missed it then because I was waiting.
At the very end she puts up a news clipping of her
thing. That was her then. Okay.
Like,
I was supportive this whole time.
I'm proud now.
Because I was waiting. Because I'm like, okay, it showed her at the very beginning, and now I literally haven't seen her, and I thought I didn't see her again, but I guess you're right because she pulls up the newspaper. But still, I was like,
a lot
was weird.
A lot of parents are like that. My parents aren't like that, but I definitely get side-eyed just for saying I'm going to like a journalist.
Just because it's no guarantees.
You're not going to make money unless you're literally like a big TV anchor. Like his Harrison Ford's contract was $6 million.
And Ron Burgundy's was quite expensive.
That's how you make money. Like, my best friend in the whole world, Alex, he was a journalist with me when we first started. And his whole thing is, I'm going to grow up making dozens of dollars. And that's basically the mindset you have to go into it. So I always have tense conversations with my parents about that. Because they believe if you go to college, it's to make a lot of money. Right. For journalists, no. Nope. That's not why you go to school. You do it to become better at what you do. And what you do is important. Which is also really interesting for me watching this as a news person.
How realistic was the whole thing? Do you know? Or because that's what I was wondering, like behind the scenes wise, how realistic it was?
Well, I don't come from broadcasting, so it was all pretty. At least
I think
like
the problems were pretty realistic, but how they were resolved and like how one led to the other, not necessarily was realistic.
Even
his attitude, Harrison Ford's attitude about not doing like anything except for hard news, I don't think journalists like that exist anymore. That's like old school. Like that's like
super traditionalist.
That's like
but
your
the snobby
Brokaw,
attitude of like, oh, I'm 40 years into this, I'm the ho hum of this. That's still very much a part of. I think many anchor men and women are very much like that for big news.
One of my professors, Wolf Blitzer on CNN.
Yes,
he's like that. The way she talked about him a bit in one of our classes, and she said he's the biggest asshole you'll ever meet. She hated working with him, and there's definitely shit like that.
Even if it wasn't realistic, like the behind the scenes stuff, it was still really interesting to see like that depiction of what goes on behind the scenes of news. Like when you cut camera, something's immediately going on. You're like, oh, it's kind of crazy to see.
A big part of it is like improv, which is what I was thinking of, like when I was. What?
The Jimmy Carter scene.
That was
Jimmy
so
Carter's
great.
face on.
Okay. I had to write this down because this was amazing. Because Sean and I were both watching this. So, sexual offender Jimmy Carter. Sean gets up and runs into the kitchen screaming. He literally ran into the kitchen screaming, going, ah! Because it was so awkward and mortifying. Right, Sean?
Yep. Not a fan of crippling awkwardness.
Yeah, no, like
so he's a big fan of The Office.
It was when I watch The Office, he can't be in the room.
He has to dissociate.
He has to go upstairs
because it's based around cringeworthy humor.
Yeah, but like no, I can't remember the last time you did that during a movie, Sean. But yeah, like that was enough to make Sean scream. That stuff like that happens a lot, but.
I'll be honest, I didn't even notice it until they brought it up, like, take it off. I'm like, take what off? Oh!
See,
that's funny.
I was a little annoyed how long it took her to realize that because I got it, like, right away. And I'm like, okay, she should get fired for allowing it, for, like, just knowing it's
2 seconds, yeah.
Because...
It was her first one.
But she had experience. You have to have that eagle eye.
True.
You have to do that.
Yeah. I guess if she can remember like 12,000 requests and respond to them accordingly, you think that she'd be able to.
I loved that.
That was a good scene. It was great, but like.
It was a good scene, but in my head I was like, yeah, no, she wouldn't remember all that.
That whole thing, I love when movies about like news movies like that have scenes like that because that is a huge part of how it worked in my old newsroom, and I loved
like
that.
Like what, just round table discussion?
Like meetings like that, and like kind of bringing ideas and talking over things.
Controlled chaos.
I love that. Was like my favorite part of the day was those meetings.
I can tell from the moisture on your face right now.
Really?
No, I'm kidding.
What?
Joking.
Am I sweating?
Joking.
Flush.
No.
Yeah, she's got the happy sweats.
Yeah, there's a lot of this like made me real nostalgic for my old newsroom. The pacing of it is all like adrenaline kicking up.
And I think that's what I really enjoyed, like in spite of it being obviously Hollywood in many areas. Like I think, cinema is all about telling a story. That's what makes good movies. And I think Morning Glory was a really well told story. And I think that's what made it.
I'd agree. I thought it was really good. I liked it.
There were a lot of like really small things I really appreciated. Like, although there were times when her hair was way too clean. No journalist's hair is that clean. Like,
Especially as thin as hers, like that shit's gonna look awful, like a nest up in that.
But I really appreciated how it showed, she would sleep in the office or like in her clothes from the night before. Like I used to go straight from like one job in my clothes to work, and I'd wear that clear into the next 2 days because you are nonstop working.
Yeah, I like the scene where she had to pick up Harrison Ford. I don't know his scene's name.
Can we talk about her butt in that scene?
I mean, I'm not gonna
complain. Wait, before that scene.
Well, that's like right before she left. Yeah.
So
that's a bit.
When they're making out, and you were like, and you were like, oh, sexy underwear.
Who wears Victoria's Secret like that and ready to go with that kind of job? Like, come on.
I mean, it's Rachel McAdams.
Well, with those kind of skirts, you have to wear something that's not gonna be like granny.
Boxer briefs. Hello.
This isn't high school.
No.
And she's not a lesbian.
You don't know that. But that's for another time.
No, actually, what made me want to watch the movie is when it came out, I distinctly remembered this. There was controversy over whether or not that was her ass or it was a body double.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding.
Oh my god.
Because they were like, you're telling me the bitch from The Notebook has an ass like that?
What?
It's a fair argument.
I absolutely loved when she like leaves and she just doesn't. You're like, oh, she forgot her pants. Oh, she's such an idiot. But it's like, no, she just forgot her pants and then she doesn't even put her skirt back on. She just keeps running back. Walking. I loved that. That was amazing. There are so many like little things in this movie that I loved. And then there were so many things that really annoyed me. Like, Harrison Ford's character annoyed me because I've worked with people like that and I know people like that. And he's just a news snob. Which is... I've worked with people who are real news snobs like that and they are not fun to be around at all. Like, I used to do cartoons, and I had a very stern talking to because college students don't care about the Oscars. They literally said that because I made a joke comic about the Oscars that year. And they're like, these students want to know real issues. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Really?
They don't read their textbooks. They're not going to care about
it. Like, no one actually reads this.
Someone's
either.
being a bit naive, living in a world where they think everyone cares about the written names.
And it was like, and this was like at the peak of like, Adventure Time and everyone dressing up in onesies every Halloween, I was like, okay, bitch, calm your fucking
Did you say this isn't a time? Oh my god, we can't date ourselves like this.
It was
too early.
It was 4 years ago. But this movie came out 7 years ago.
It did.
Yeah. It was interesting to me, like, Harrison Ford's character was so stern and, like, a snob, but he wore those crazy socks and his, like, colorful suspenders and ties. I love that.
I think that was almost hinting toward the person he used to be before, like, bitterness and egocentric. Well, his whole life just fell apart. It was very suggestive of there's another side of this person that we probably won't be able to see.
Well, it was nice because they did explain that a little bit when he did finally talk to Becky. I couldn't remember her name again for a second. I almost said that. But
oh my god, Becky.
Like when he's talking to her a little bit about how when he got fired and then how he had to leave the news that way after being around for so long, and then this was how he had to return to the news.
Mm-hmm.
And just from what he knew and what he believed the news to be, and then to be forced into this other situation, he just really wanted to reject that. And I think that was really cool to see that explanation. I thought they did a good job of explaining it. Is what I'm saying.
He definitely sold it. He sold. It wasn't sappy. It was just very much, here's this vulnerable point that's really now we get to see what this is all about, really.
And that just owes to just Harrison Ford because he's never been like that sappy leading man like Patrick fuck him Wilson, her love interest. I can't stand him.
Yeah, he was a mistake in this movie.
Like,
I don't think he was that bad.
No, he
Why do you
was
guys hate
good.
him so much?
He was good. I'm not a fan of his
His face? Yeah, that's...
Or his...
Personality?
That's pretty mean.
Or his character.
No, like, the first thing I ever saw him in was Watchmen, when he plays Night Owl. Did you see Watchmen?
Mm-hmm. That was with the electric guy who gives women cancer.
No, he's the guy... He's the guy who is, like, the goody two-shoes... The guy dressed up as a fucking owl.
He looks like a goody two-shoes.
And he fucks Silk Spectre the second in it to the song Hallelujah. She was the one who was fucking the blue guy before.
And then she got cancer.
Manhattan.
Yes.
Did she get cancer?
Yes.
No, someone else.
3 other women.
She was going
cancer.
to get cancer, basically. Like, eventually.
Yeah, if you're gonna have sex with electricity, you're gonna eventually get cancer.
But no, like, he's such a good, he's just a goody two-shoes, and I don't think he's hot.
No, he looks like the kind of person that is trying to find ways to screw you over in a very nice way.
But you liked him, Isaiah?
I didn't like him, but I didn't dislike him with the same amount of passion
So
that you
this
guys
is exactly
did.
how this worked out. Like she was commenting on like she just said ugh. I'm like him. She's like yeah, something like that. And I'm just like yeah, I'm not really a fan of his character either.
I liked his character, but I don't like him. I don't like the actor. I wish they would have gotten a different actor.
But the point was, I was like, I bet Isaiah likes this character.
Yeah, we were both like, Isaiah's gonna love this guy because he's gonna be like, oh, but he's like the nice tall guy, like me, Isaiah.
But you are a nice tall guy. That's not.
I don't know.
done.
See, at least Bailey's saying she didn't hate the character because I thought the character was good.
I think the placement of his character was fine. It was just if it was someone else.
I would have liked it a lot. I just don't like his
Like I thought it was a
face.
really good supporting character to have in the movie.
Like if it was Brad.
Renfro?
No.
That's like.
So you guys
Bradley
are-
Cooper. If it was
you
Bradley
two,
Cooper.
you two are just
Yeah,
mad.
if it was Bradley Cooper.
You
that
two
would
are
be
just
better.
mad about the actor who played that part.
I'm not a fan of that actor.
And neither am I.
He's-
That's what we're trying to say.
Okay,
I say
so
character, but I don't.
That's
I mean
understandable, I guess, because I thought the character was good.
He to me he just always plays that kind of loser.
He wasn't a loser.
Try
That-
hard.
No, just I can't stop thinking of Night Owl, and then and I don't think he's handsome at all.
He's too glossy. Not
He-
in a
he
Ken
remind-
Barbie doll.
He reminds me of those guys you go to high school who are really nice and pretend to be your friend, but they just want to fuck you,
Or
and then complain about being friends.
they're just putting good
Classy.
face for you, like the good humanitarian they are in a public school setting. I know a few.
But like, I did love his character, and I loved how like calm and cool he was, and I loved his office. I want an office like that with the couch and all the shit everywhere. Ugh. And
He was also very understanding of her situation and helpful about it and supportive about it, which I feel like a lot of romantic comedies, that character wouldn't have been, and then that would have been one of the controversies they would have played off of, which they didn't, and I like that.
I think a big part of that is he was a news person too. Like, news people are like their own like special breed, you know? You can't really be like, that's just part of why I'm with Sean. I don't think I like I said, I don't think I could ever be with someone who didn't at least know how that world works.
One thing I didn't like about it is about the movie was that one of the sudden major themes at the very end was like making time for people who are worth it to you or for people who mean more than your job, and that theme was kind of muddled and not really
kind of thrown in there.
Yeah, it felt like that. Like it felt like that.
Yeah.
From this romantic interest,
Like
which I think she was assuming. I mean, I don't know.
Like they needed some kind of. And the moral of the story was at the end, they're like, "Oh shoot, what is it?" Here we go.
Make time for people. That we can build on Harrison Ford.
It's like, is she really that bad of a person? Like, did she really need to change that about herself? Like, that she
change what?
That she loves her job and is very dedicated to her job.
No, I like the exchange that Harrison's like, hey, make sure you do this because I lost everything in this process.
Yeah.
But I think they had completely different intentions. She's not there just to be there for her job and get the glory. She's there because she loves her job, and I think that's the differentiating factor between them altogether. But like it just didn't go anywhere with that theme. Like I felt like the movie is all about never giving up. Continually being persistent and working hard and finding the small solutions that will solve the biggest problems. And then it kind of just, by the way, this very sentimental scene at the very end about what that means. And like, that didn't really go anywhere with that at the very end of the movie either.
I hated when he starts name dropping and just being a snob. Do you remember when we were watching
Bailey
that?
was like stroking an invisible cock everything he said.
Like,
Cock is not the worst word said on this podcast.
Like, no, like, it's like, okay, we fucking get it. You're a big, famous, important person. Like, oh my God. Because I know people like that. And it's just like, fucking get over yourself. I can't stand shit like that. But it made I think it brought something interesting to his character when he's definitely like humbled at the end, but it's still like, oh my god.
Well, it makes sense. It makes sense because he's holding on to his past accolades as a means to fill the void created by the accolades themselves. Why he got those accolades. You know, he lost everything he realized was more important to him. Family. It sounds like his wife. You know, like everything else fell apart. He said he had nothing, and he had everything. Like, and so that was a really important contrast lesson in that in his character. I don't know what I'm talking
I really
about.
wish they would have explored the whole hard news versus entertainment thing.
Yeah.
Because when she's going through his house, she did bring up a good point. Like, look at all this that you could contribute. Art and hunting and fishing. Like, that's...
Yeah, they totally could have built off of that a lot more. I think for the movie only being like an hour and 40 minutes, I think they could have made it longer and it would have been fine because they really could have explored a couple of things more rather than just throwing so many aspects into one, which I didn't hate, but I agree. It would have been nice to kind of have a little more discussion or at least like diving into that a little more.
Because like... some of the things that she did to like shake things up were a little like lame. Like having the guy get tattooed.
Honestly, I think Anchorman does a great job of like exploring this. It's hilarious and it's just kind of you're like, this is so true.
That's for exposition, though.
Well, Anchorman is about sexism and misogyny.
Well, there's also a lot about the switch from news to entertainment, though, because he's on that. On the first one, at least, he's on the network where. You know, they're behind, they're in last.
No, he's not.
Or he goes, maybe it's the second one, Anchorman 2 then, where he goes to a network that's in last.
I
That's
saw
probably
that
what it is
once.
in, because... And then they start doing all this entertainment stuff, like following the car chase.
Oh my god.
Is that the second one?
That's the second one where it's basically like they're coming up with the 24-hour news cycle.
Yes. Yeah.
Like he invented that, like he invented like CNN, Fox
Kittens, you know.
See, that was a dark time.
I thought it was a great movie.
Anchorman 2 is not as good as
the first Anchorman is so much better. Anchorman 2, there were like these 10-minute scenes. I'm like, why is this in the movie? Of just randomness. I was like, Will Ferrell.
Anchorman.
I don't like Will Ferrell.
I love Will Ferrell.
Anchorman was like my movie.
Anchorman's the best.
Of all movies, of all 1,500 movies that she likes to tell people that she's watched, it's Anchorman?
I pretty much have the script, the whole movie memorized.
It's a great movie.
I wouldn't brag about that.
It's a good movie.
I know.
Go to the internship for that interview. Not internship. You know, I don't even know.
My future life.
Yeah.
Nah, I'll just tell him that like the Mindy Project follows me on Twitter. That's the only cool thing about.
So.
But yeah. So I wouldn't use Anchorman as like a good comparison for like a journalism movie.
No, I was just saying that I thought they did a good job of showing that
freedom writers.
That switch.
No, that's not journalism.
From news to entertainment, because they showed all the other news and what they were doing, and then they're like, "What can we do to do different?" And then they just
that was showing basically like how news has devolved, like
which is really the thing, right?
Yeah.
It has media. Media.
I mean,
yeah.
If you want to get into it, we drive it. So
we,
as in like the viewers.
What am I, a consumer?
Yes.
You're right. So
I mean, I watch all of it.
I'm sure you do. Fox News.
No, I actually don't watch Fox. I'm just saying like
fake news.
Fake
news. See it.
Yeah.
Just the stupid viral stuff.
Did you guys notice the little snippet that was included when her and him are talking about like pitching things to Harrison Ford and him getting pissed? Did you notice what she said?
At the very end?
No, like it kind of in the middle.
Like when he opened the bottle of rum?
No, I have it written down. I asked him to do a piece on Trump, and he actually picked up my Diet Coke and hurled it across the room.
And this was in what, 2011?
2010.
2010.
Because guess what wasn't hard news back then and was pure entertainment bullshit.
The boss, the interview, what's his show?
The Apprentice.
The Apprentice. I love that porno. It's wonderful.
No, that just like I could.
Just kidding.
That was like crazy
kidding.
because, and it's kind of like watching, you know, Home Alone 2 again and
Oh my
seeing
God.
him in the plaza, and you're just like,
down the hall to the left.
Oh my
There's
God.
one line. Where's the bathroom?
Where's the
You gonna
lobby?
shoot up again, kid? Like you are in 10 years?
Hey, leave Macaulay Culkin alone, please.
I'm sorry. You're right. You're right. But if I had to choose between marrying him and losing my virginity to him and dying by penetration of a sword, I would choose dying by penetration of a sword.
Is that the worst way to die?
I would totally.
No, but there are just...
I would totally marry Macaulay Culkin.
Ew, what? Sean, take her out of here right now. Burn her
They
at the
call me
stake.
Macaulay Culkin because I'm always home alone.
Oh no.
Who would win in a fight, Predator or Macaulay Culkin? How much prep time does Macaulay Culkin have?
Too much. Now we're going to my favorite segment of the podcast. It is what took you out the movie? Which means what part of the film took you out the movie?
No, what took me out of the movie is, you know, when she goes to find him and he's hunting, the gun he uses is bullshit.
What is it? Like
a
a
double-barreled
double-barreled shotgun?
It's a double-barreled shotgun.
That's what I thought.
But the two barrels are side by side like that. That's not for... What the fuck? My phone just went off like crazy. I never get texts like that.
I know. It's Pornhub reminding
Unless
me
it's
that
you
your
two.
account is...
No, it's the two... It's a double-barreled shotgun where they're side by side. That it's not as
Perfect
accurate.
for shooting birds far away.
But it's not as accurate as when they're stacked on each other.
Vertical?
So yeah,
Correct?
vertical. Yeah, it's vertical. You know how so the best way to remember is vertical or horizontal, because the horizontal bop is another word for sex.
I remember by your vertical jump. Jumping up.
My way's funner.
More digressing. So it was
That
that...
completely took me out of the movie. Like, but then it's like, oh, maybe it's fucking allegory for how old school bullshit new snob he is. Like that he uses such a bullshit gun.
They're pretty popular. A lot of text over there.
Getting jealous?
No, I'm trying to get your phone off.
Just give me my phone. Give me a phone.
Ugh, please?
Give me a phone.
I did not like the way Glossy Man, Owl, is it? Whatever.
Patrick
Wilson.
Swayze.
No, sorry, yes, Wilson. I did not like the way he flirted. Every time he tried, like, being, like, suave and, like, let me, you know, is this the third, blah, blah, blah. Like, it just really just, like, oh, this is so gross. And that was very Office cringeworthy. It was awful to watch. And I was just like, just stop right now. And every time, like, she was feeling nervous, the way she, like, her leg posture, like, when she visited him in his office, like, she was just so uncomfortable, like, the way she, I mean, I think that was intent, but, like, I just couldn't look at her.
You were,
like,
yeah, you were
I was,
kind of
like, freaking out on the couch, like, oh, that's just too much, like, legs shouldn't do that, like, stop.
Do you think
I know.
that's part of, like, your whole thing with, you know, you're from South Carolina and you're, like, when you were saying when you first came here, you couldn't believe that people, like, wore sweats out of
Downtown?
the house or something?
I mean,
I
no.
wear sweats everywhere.
But, like,
So comfortable.
do you think it's kind of like that? Like, that's not how you're supposed to act in society?
Well, I mean, it's not supposed to. I mean, that's not the first thing that came to mind. But now that you say that, like, I think just presenting yourself, even if you are freaking out or you're nervous, it's okay to look nervous and, like, you know, have that kind of anxious response. But, like, not to, like, your posture is just so unprofessional and weird and not structured. I just said professional. I take that back. There's a way to look, but that's not why. I think I just felt generally uncomfortable with watching her in the movie, and maybe she was supposed to do that, but I didn't like it one bit. So anyway, the flirt scenes from both ends were very cringeworthy and took me out the movie completely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You want to repeat that back to me?
No.
She's
Like,
texting viewers and audience members.
So disrespectful.
I know. I
Gosh.
like, it's been about her this whole podcast, and then
Call the
like
cops. I don't give a fuck.
Micah's dialing the phone. While he's doing that, I actually can't think of anything specific that took me out of the movie.
Yeah, it's a very well done movie. Like
there were things that bothered me, but nothing like I was like, ugh, about. So I think it's cool.
There were certain things that I really loved, like the way the filmmaking aspect of it was really well done. Like you said, like when they were doing the actual news thing and the director guy was telling everyone in the newsroom. See, I'm not broadcast, so I don't know all the terms, but and you said, "Oh, it's like a composer and an orchestra," and it's totally love that.
Well, because they're definitely trying to show you the dynamic of that it's fast paced. They want you to feel excited as an audience member. They want you to be pulled into what's going on. That's lots of exciting things, and in order to do that, you have to do lots of different camera angles of the different roles in a studio like that. And that was really exciting to see. So yeah, those elements of the movie were really cool. I agree.
And then a lot of the lighting and cinematography was great. Like when she went to meet him to tell him that she got the job, and they're kind of like outside that kind of brick building behind him. The lighting, that was so good. And then when she's walking across the bridge
that was
like
a cool
dawn,
scene. Yep.
That's I think that's called like the magic hour. That point when with the sunrise where the lighting is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That was amazing.
Mm-hmm. It was beautiful. And like anything where it was like trying to progress the storyline and show different things to compact time. It was really well done. I think.
Yeah, the editing was a very well done movie. I think it would be good. It'd be good for people to kind of study in terms of like how to properly edit it and compose a scene and the mise en scène.
What were you gonna say?
I thought she was about to say broadcast. I was like, how can you say that without knowing much about it? But that's fine. You weren't saying. You're going that direction. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
This was a good movie.
Yes.
Pick. I was really surprised you were picking it because I was just thinking about this movie last week. And I thought it was so random that you would pick it.
Is it between this or Tomb Raider?
Also good. That'd have been better.
I have actually never seen Tomb Raider.
Aghast. I'm changing White Chicks to Tomb Raider. I'm kidding.
No, we gotta do
White Chicks.
So is that everything?
That is everything.
That's it.
Thank you, audience members, for listening into this episode of Code 6. We look forward to podcasting with you again in the future.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.